Every Hawaiian island is slowly sinking into the ocean. If you skip this, you'll miss the kind of beauty that may one day disappear. Glowing beaches, volcanic cliffs, and colors that don't exist anywhere else on Earth. First, we'll uncover fascinating facts about these islands, and then explore the most breathtaking places across Hawaii. Hawaii isn't just a place, it's a miracle still unfolding. And the more you learn about it, the more impossible it seems. Here's where it gets fascinating. The Hawaiian Islands sit in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, over 3,800 kilometers, nearly 2,400 miles from the nearest continent. They shouldn't even be here. Most islands form along tectonic boundaries, where plates collide or split apart. But Hawaii rose from the center of a plate, from a single plume of molten rock bursting straight through Earth's crust. It's what scientists call a hotspot, and that hotspot has been burning in the same place for tens of millions of years. But here's where it gets even stranger. The Pacific Plate, the massive slab of rock beneath the ocean, moves northwest at about 10 centimeters, roughly 4 inches every year. So as it drifts, the hot spot keeps punching through it, one eruption at a time, creating a chain of islands that stretches more than 2,400 kilometers, nearly 1,500 miles, across the Pacific. The farther northwest you go, the older the islands become. Kauai is over 5 million years old. Oahu, a little younger, and the big island of Hawaii, it's the youngest, and it's still growing right now. Yes, growing, deep beneath the ocean's surface, 30 kilometers, almost 19 miles, southeast of the Big Island, a new volcano called Loihi is slowly rising. In a few 100,000 years, it will break through the waves, the next island in the chain. You're literally watching the planet build land in real time. But here's the paradox that keeps geologists awake at night. As new islands rise, the old ones sink. Over millions of years, their volcanic weight pushes down the crust beneath them, and the relentless ocean erodes their edges grain by grain. That's why ancient islands like Midway are little more than coral atolls today, low rings of sand where towering mountains once stood. It's a slow-motion cycle of creation and destruction, and that's not the only mystery. The lava that built Hawaii isn't ordinary. When it cools, it forms a glassy rock called basalt, dark, sharp, and magnetic. These flows can stretch for kilometers, freezing into surreal shapes known as pahoho and ʻā. Their names come from the Hawaiian language, one of the oldest still spoken in the Pacific. Pahoho means smooth and ropey. Ara means rough and stony. You can actually feel the difference under your feet. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The islands weren't always covered in lush greenery. In their early years, they were black deserts, nothing but volcanic rock under tropical rain. Every single plant, bird, and insect had to arrive from somewhere else, blown by wind, carried by ocean currents, or clinging to drifting debris. Scientists estimate that fewer than 1 in 100,000 species survived that journey. But the ones that did evolved into something entirely new. That's why over 90% of Hawaii's native species exist nowhere else on Earth. Take the honey creeper birds, bright red, yellow, and green songbirds that evolved from a single ancestor. They developed different beaks for every type of flower and seed, turning one immigrant species into more than 50 unique ones. It's evolution you can actually see. But nature didn't stop there. Even the beaches defy expectation. Some shimmer white from crushed coral, others sparkle black from volcanic glass. There are even green beaches, colored by olivine crystals, gemstones born inside lava. Walk just a few miles, and the sand changes beneath your feet like shifting worlds. And while most people picture eternal sunshine, Hawaii's weather is anything but simple. On the Big Island alone, you can find 10 of the world's 14 climate zones, from tropical rainforests to polar tundra. Drive 160 kilometers, about 100 miles, from one coast to another, and you'll pass through climates that mimic South America, Africa, and even Antarctica. That's why locals say, if you don't like the weather, drive 10 minutes. But the story of Hawaii isn't just geology or biology. It's humanity. Polynesian voyagers arrived more than 1,500 years ago, navigating by the stars across thousands of kilometers of open ocean. They reached Hawaii long before any compass or map existed. They carried crops, animals, and legends, and built a culture deeply tied to the land. Even the word aloha isn't just a greeting. It means love, respect, and the recognition that all life is connected. Now, here's the part most people never realize. The same volcanic heat that forged Hawaii still powers it today. Beneath the islands, underground reservoirs of steam drive clean geothermal energy. It's one of the reasons Hawaii aims to run entirely on renewable sources in the near future. A modern paradise born from ancient fire. And yet, For all its beauty and science, Hawaii remains fragile. Coral reefs bleach under rising temperatures. Native birds vanish as invasive species spread. And the islands themselves, as we said, are sinking, millimeter by millimeter, into the deep. But here's the hopeful twist. While the land slowly changes, its spirit never fades. Every wave that hits its shores carries both memory and renewal, proof that paradise, even when it shifts, endures. Because that's the secret most visitors never see. Hawaii isn't frozen in time. It's alive, evolving, and rewriting its story every single day. And now that you know the incredible forces that built these islands, let's explore the most breathtaking places they created. From cliffs carved by the ocean to volcanoes that still breathe fire. Rising straight from the Pacific, the Pali Coast looks less like Earth and more like a dream sculpted in green and gold. Jagged cliffs soar over 1,200 meters, nearly 4,000 feet above the sea, streaked with waterfalls that vanish into clouds. But what few people realize is that these cliffs are constantly alive, eroding grain by grain under the pull of rain and ocean. Every ridge tells a story of collapse and rebirth. Centuries ago, entire valleys here crumbled into the sea, only to be carved anew by rivers running through volcanic rock. That's why Pali's shape feels almost impossible, sharp, vertical, and endlessly repeating, like a heartbeat frozen in stone. From above, the coastline glows emerald. From the water, it feels like a wall between worlds. Even on calm days, waves slam against the cliffs with the force of time itself. And deep within its valleys, ancient trails still hide remnants of early Hawaiian life, places untouched for centuries. As the sun drops low and shadows climb the cliffs, the noise of the ocean fades into silence. But the story of Hawaii doesn't end in silence. It changes rhythm. The rhythm of Hawaii slows here. Hanalei Bay curves along the northern edge of Kauai like a perfect crescent, a blend of turquoise water, golden sand, and emerald mountains rising behind. It feels peaceful, almost unreal, like time itself hesitates before moving forward. But there's something deeper hidden beneath that calm surface. The bay stretches nearly 3 kilometers, almost 2 miles, And it's shaped not just by tides, but by centuries of floods pouring from the valleys above. Each storm rebuilds the beach, shifting sand from one side to another. That's why locals say Hanalei is never the same place twice. At dawn, the water lies still like glass. By afternoon, surfers ride gentle waves that roll in perfect rhythm. And when the rain falls, as it often does here, mist slides down from the mountains, wrapping the bay in silver light. It's one of those rare places where beauty doesn't need perfection. It breathes, changes, and feels alive. But beyond the curve of Hanalei, where the land narrows and the cliffs return, something else stands guard over this coast, something built not by nature, but by purpose. And it watches the sea from high above. Perched on the edge of a volcanic cliff, the Kīlauea Lighthouse rises like a white beacon against the endless blue. Built in 1913, it once guided ships through one of the most dangerous stretches of ocean in the Pacific. Today, it still stands, not as a warning, but as a witness. From this point, you can see the curvature of the Earth. Waves crash more than 150 meters below, nearly 500 feet, where seabirds circle in spirals of white. Red-footed boobies, albatrosses, and great frigate birds nest on these cliffs by the thousands. Their calls mix with the wind, a reminder that Hawaii's wild heart still beats far above the waves. But there's something quietly powerful about this place. It marks the northernmost tip of the main Hawaiian Islands, the end of the road before the ocean takes over again. And yet, even here, the story of water and gravity continues. Because inland, beyond these cliffs, the power of falling water tells another part of Hawaii's tale. Hidden in the rainforest near the island's center, Wailua Falls appears suddenly, a twin cascade tumbling 80 meters, almost 260 feet, into a misty pool below. Ancient Hawaiian chiefs once leaped from its top in ceremonial tests of courage. Now, travelers stand where they once stood, staring into a curtain of white water that never stops moving. But here's where it gets interesting. The falls aren't just rain-fed. They're part of a river system older than the island itself. Over millions of years, volcanic rock eroded into deep valleys, channeling storms from the mountains to the sea. That's why Wailua keeps reshaping its cliffs, carving them a little deeper each year. On sunny mornings, Rainbows form in the mist, bright arcs that hang for just seconds before vanishing. It's beauty in motion, always appearing, always fading. And as the river winds toward the coast, its flow eventually gives way to silence, the kind found only in valleys untouched by time. But the island doesn't stop breathing there. Across the ocean channel, another island waits, younger, higher, still shaped by fire. At the northern tip of the Big Island, Pololū Valley opens like a secret. Black sand meets the surf, framed by steep green cliffs rising more than 400 meters, over 1,300 feet into the clouds. It's a place where you can feel the island's heartbeat underfoot, steady and ancient. Few realize that Pololū was carved by the same forces that built it, volcanoes and rain. Thousands of years ago, molten rock flowed here, cooled into stone, and was slowly cut away by water. That constant battle between creation and erosion is why the valley looks so raw, so alive. From the lookout above, the coastline stretches endlessly into shadowed ridges and deep folds of forest. Each valley beyond Pololū tells a continuation of the same story. Hawaii forming, fading, and forming again. Stand here long enough, and the sound of the waves begins to blend with the wind, like the island breathing in its sleep. And beyond these cliffs, the land brightens, turning from black sand and basalt into wide, sunlit shores of white. The next chapter of Hawaii's beauty lies just ahead. After the dark volcanic sands of Pololū, Hāpuna feels almost unreal. It stretches wide and bright along the Kohala coast, a perfect ribbon of white, nearly a kilometer long, just over half a mile. The ocean here glows in shades of turquoise and cobalt, shifting with every cloud that passes overhead. But Hāpuna isn't just another postcard beach. Its sand was born from coral and shells ground down over thousands of years by the relentless surf. It's one of the few natural white sand beaches on the Big Island, formed not by fire, but by time. And that contrast, black to white, lava to limestone, captures the spirit of Hawaii itself. Constant transformation. In the early morning, the beach is almost empty. Only the sound of waves and the rustle of palm leaves breaking the silence. By noon, it's alive. Swimmers, surfers, and families moving in rhythm with the tide. Every wave smooths the sand, as if the island were erasing its own footprints. But beyond the calm shoreline, deeper stories still rise from the land. Stories of lava, legend, and endurance. They wait just a short drive south, where history and heat meet the sea. On the western coast of the Big Island, the rhythm of Hawaii changes again. Kailua-Kona isn't defined by beaches, it's built on lava. The ground here is dark and sharp, frozen in waves from eruptions that shaped the island centuries ago. Every step crunches on history. The town once served as the royal seat of the Hawaiian kingdom. Today, it blends sacred heritage with island life. Coffee farms climbing the hills above, boats drifting across clear water below. The air carries the scent of roasted Kona beans mixed with salt and sundae, but beneath that relaxed charm lies a powerful reminder: this island is still alive. Just inland, massive volcanoes like Hualalai and Mauna Loa rise silently, their slopes stretching more than 4,000 meters, over 13,000 feet, from sea to summit. They sleep now, but the land remembers their fire. At sunset, lava rock glows orange in the fading light, and when darkness falls, the ocean mirrors the stars above, a perfect reflection of creation and calm. But the story doesn't end at sea level. It climbs higher than the clouds, where the air thins and the stars grow closer. Nothing in Hawaii feels quite like Mauna Kea. It's not just a mountain. It's the tallest volcano on Earth. Rising 4,207 meters, almost 13,800 feet above sea level. But measured from its base on the ocean floor, it towers over 10,000 meters, higher than Mount Everest itself. The summit feels like another planet. Red volcanic rock, patches of snow, and silence so deep you can hear the wind change direction. Temperatures drop below freezing, even while beaches shimmer far below. It's a place of opposites: fire and ice, earth and sky. For native Hawaiians, Mauna Kea is sacred, the realm where heaven and earth meet. Astronomers see it differently, as the perfect window to the universe. More than a dozen telescopes crown its summit, watching galaxies billions of light years away. Two worlds, ancient and modern, sharing the same sky. And as night falls, thousands of stars ignite above, brighter here than almost anywhere on the planet. It feels endless. And yet, down below, another island waits. Smaller, gentler, and carved not by fire, but by water and wind. High above the clouds of Maui, Haleakalā looks like the surface of another world. The name means House of the Sun, and when the first light rises over its rim, the world below seems to disappear. The summit reaches 3,055 meters, nearly 10,000 feet, yet feels weightless, surrounded by mist and silence. But the beauty of Haleakalā isn't just in its view, it's in its story. The crater beneath you isn't truly a crater at all, but a massive erosion valley, carved by wind and time rather than a single eruption. It stretches 11 kilometers across, about 7 miles, a vast landscape of red and black cinder cones glowing like embers under the morning light. Legends say the demigod Maui lassoed the sun from this mountain to slow its path across the sky. And standing here, it almost feels believable. Time seems to hold its breath. As the day unfolds, colors shift from gold to copper to shadow, revealing how fragile light really is. But beyond this sea of clouds, the mountain's story continues downward, along one of the most winding, lush, and breathtaking roads in all of Hawaii. The road to Hāna isn't just a drive. It's an odyssey through 84 kilometers, almost 52 miles of rainforest, cliffs, and waterfalls. More than 600 curves twist between the trees, each one revealing something new: bamboo groves, wild ginger, and valleys drenched in mist. It's slow, hypnotic, and unforgettable. But here's where it gets interesting. The road was carved into the island's eastern edge in the early 1900s, connecting remote villages that once could only be reached by sea. Every bridge, there are 59 of them, tells a story of isolation and persistence. Locals still say, it's not about reaching Hāna, it's about what you see on the way. And they're right. Rainbows appear without warning, waterfalls pour straight onto the road, and clouds drift so low you can touch them. It's one of those rare places where time stretches and bends, where the journey is the destination. But at the end of this winding path lies a hidden valley, where the water doesn't just fall, it dances. Deep in the rainforest near Hāna, a series of cascades tumble toward the sea, the 7 sacred pools known to locals as ʻOheʻo Gulch. Each pool feeds the next, forming a stairway of waterfalls surrounded by lush cliffs and ferns. It's the sound of living water, constant, soft, eternal. But despite the name, there aren't only 7. There are dozens, depending on the rain, each one reflecting the jungle around it. What makes this place sacred isn't a number, it's the way everything connects. Fresh water meets salt. Forest meets ocean. Life meets renewal. When storms roll in, the calm surface transforms into white torrents, roaring louder than thunder. And when the sun returns, everything turns to glass again, clear, weightless, still. It's a cycle that never ends, a reminder that even in paradise, beauty depends on change. And as the pools flow into the sea, Maui's colors shift once more, from green and silver to deep, endless blue. Because just beyond the waves, another island rises, smaller, quieter, yet just as alive. In the channel between Maui and Kahoolawe lies a perfect crescent of rock, Molokini, a volcanic crater half submerged beneath the waves. From above, it looks like the rim of an ancient moon. From the water, it feels like another planet. The sea inside the crescent glows electric blue, so clear you can see the coral gardens 45 meters below, nearly 150 feet. But here's the part most visitors never realize. Molokini isn't just a snorkel spot, it's a sanctuary. Formed more than 230,000 years ago, its walls protect over 250 species of tropical fish, many found nowhere else on Earth. The water here is so clean and nutrient-rich that visibility often exceeds 40 meters, almost 130 feet, one of the clearest anywhere in the Pacific. And as the boats turn back toward Maui, the coastline glimmers in the distance, where gold sand meets the calm rhythm of the sea. Soft as silk and warm as sunlight, Wailea Beach feels like the calm after adventure. Nestled on Maui's southern shore, it's framed by luxury resorts, palm trees, and lava rock coves that seem sculpted for serenity. The sand here stretches wide and flawless, the water smooth as glass. But look closer and you'll notice something that makes Wailea more than just beautiful. It's alive with balance. Morning brings quiet swimmers gliding through clear shallows. By afternoon, the ocean glows turquoise and the horizon fills with sails. At sunset, the sky turns molten gold and the entire beach slows as if holding its breath. What makes Wailea special isn't just its perfection, it's the way it feels effortless, like paradise in equilibrium. Even the waves move gently, never rushing, never loud. And just beyond the calm shoreline, the mountains watch in silence. Reminders that tranquility here was carved from chaos. But on another island across the sea, the energy shifts again, from peace to wildness, from luxury to legend. On Oahu's eastern coast, Kualoa Ranch feels like stepping straight into a story. Green cliffs rise steeply from the ocean, their ridges so sharp they look drawn by hand. It's no wonder Hollywood chose this landscape to film worlds like Jurassic Park. The setting already feels prehistoric. But Kualoa's history runs deeper than movies. For ancient Hawaiians, this was sacred land, a place of learning for chiefs and warriors. Legends say the gods once walked these valleys, shaping them with storms and sunlight. Even today, the air feels charged with something timeless. The ranch spans more than 1,600 hectares, almost 4,000 acres, a blend of jungle, grassland, and coastline. You can ride horses through open fields, glide by zip line above ancient taro terraces, or simply stand still and listen. Every gust of wind carries the scent of salt and earth. Every echo from the cliffs feels older than words. And as the valley narrows, sunlight filters through the clouds, guiding the way inland, toward a quieter world of waterfalls and sacred forests. Nestled between emerald ridges on Oahu's north shore, Waimea Valley feels like a living museum, a pocket of ancient Hawaii preserved in sound and scent. Birdsong echoes through the canopy, and the air is heavy with the perfume of ginger, plumeria, and wild orchids. Every step leads deeper into a world that moves slower, softer, older. But Waimea isn't just a tropical paradise. It's sacred ground. For over 1,000 years, this valley was home to Hawaiian high priests and healers. The river that flows through it was believed to carry mana, spiritual energy, connecting the mountains to the sea. Walk its trails today, and you'll still see shrines of stone and wood tucked quietly beneath banyan roots. At the valley's heart, a waterfall tumbles 15 meters, nearly 50 feet, into a clear pool where visitors can swim. It feels untouched, eternal, though every drop is part of a cycle that's older than memory itself. And when the wind shifts, the leaves whisper stories of the past, reminders that paradise was once a classroom of wisdom. But as the valley opens toward the coast, the spirit of stillness gives way to light, and the water turns from green to impossible blue. Lanikai means heavenly sea, and it's hard to imagine a name more fitting. This stretch of white sand and turquoise water on Oahu's windward side looks painted rather than real. At sunrise, the twin Mokolua Islands glow pink and gold on the horizon, their reflection trembling across the calm surface. But what makes Lanikai unforgettable isn't just its beauty, it's its rhythm. The ocean here stays gentle year-round, shielded by coral reefs that break the waves far offshore. You can walk into the water and still see your footprints beneath you. It's shallow, silent, and glowing, the kind of place that makes the world feel weightless. Locals say that once you've seen Lanikai, every other beach becomes a memory. The air carries salt and sunlight, the palms lean lazily toward the sea, and time itself seems to drift. It's paradise, simplified, nothing loud, nothing forced, just light meeting water. And beyond the quiet shoreline, the green slopes of the mountains rise again, where something man-made yet deeply spiritual waits in peace. At the foot of the Ko'olau Mountains, hidden within the Valley of the Temples, stands a crimson reflection of Japan's 950-year-old masterpiece, the Byodo-In Temple. Built to honor Hawaii's first Japanese immigrants, it feels both foreign and perfectly at home. Mist curls around the mountains above, and a pond filled with koi mirrors the red bridge leading to its entrance. But what makes this place extraordinary is its harmony with the land. You can stand beneath the arches, look out at the mountains, and realize even silence has layers. It's peace made visible, the perfect balance between culture and nature. And as the last echo fades across the valley, the sound of waves returns from afar, leading back to the ocean, where color and life explode once more. Formed inside the crater of an ancient volcano, Hanauma Bay curves along Oahu's southeastern shore like a jewel carved from fire and water. From above, its crescent shape glows turquoise against the black lava cliffs, a sight so vivid it looks unreal. But step closer, and you'll see why it's one of Hawaii's most magical places. The bay shelters one of the most diverse coral reefs in the islands, more than 400 species of fish, some found nowhere else on Earth. Every tide redraws the underwater landscape. Coral gardens shimmer gold, parrotfish bite through rock to make new sand, and sea turtles drift like slow-moving shadows. It's a world so full of life that even silence feels alive. But here's what's fascinating. Hanauma Bay was once nearly destroyed. Years of tourism left the reef gasping, until local conservationists closed it to heal. Today, it stands as proof that paradise can recover if given the chance. And when you rise from the water, the world feels sharper, the breeze cooler, the colors brighter, because just above this bay, the island's most iconic peak waits, a mountain shaped like a sleeping giant. From every postcard of Honolulu, Diamond Head stands in the background. Massive, silent, unshakable. It's a volcano that last erupted over 200,000 years ago, yet it still defines the skyline. Climb its 230 meters, about 760 feet, and you'll see why Hawaiians call it Leahi, brow of the tuna. But the name Diamond Head came later, when 19th century sailors mistook the calcite crystals on its slopes for diamonds. They found no treasure, but the mountain gave them something rarer, a perfect view. From its summit, you can see the entire curve of Waikiki, the endless Pacific stretching to the horizon. The wind rushes through old military tunnels, once used to guard the island, now echoing only with footsteps and laughter. At sunrise, Diamond Head glows copper and rose, a living monument to time and illusion. And as the city below wakes up, waves roll toward the shore in slow, steady rhythm, drawing you toward the place where Hawaii's modern heart beats strongest. Waikiki is where the story of Hawaii meets the rhythm of the world. Once the playground of Hawaiian royalty, it's now a vibrant shoreline lined with hotels, surfboards, and palm trees swaying to city lights. But beneath the energy and movement, its essence remains the same: joy in motion. The beach stretches 2 kilometers, about a mile and a half, of golden sand and warm, rolling surf. At sunrise, beginners paddle out on longboards, chasing the same waves kings once rode centuries ago. By night, the skyline reflects on the water, turning the ocean into a mirror of light. Waikiki never really sleeps. The scent of salt and coconut drifts through the air, music hums from every corner, and the Pacific glitters beneath the moon. It's not the wild Hawaii of cliffs and craters. It's the human side of paradise, where cultures blend, stories meet, and time feels infinite. And as the waves break against the shore, the sound fades into something quieter, a reminder that even in all this movement, Hawaii still remembers. Because not far from here stands a place that holds its deepest silence, a memorial carved in the heart of the sea. Beneath the calm waters of Pearl Harbor lies a silence unlike any other in Hawaii. It's a place where beauty and grief share the same horizon, where tropical light meets shadows that time could never erase. On the 7th of December 1941, this harbor changed the course of history. Japanese aircraft descended from the morning sky, and in less than 2 hours, the world was at war. The USS Arizona still rests below the surface, her steel hull preserved beneath clear blue water, a tomb for over 1,000 souls. You can see drops of oil still rising to the surface, one every few seconds, black tears they call them, as if the ship were still weeping. But Pearl Harbor isn't just a place of tragedy. It's also a promise that peace can grow even from devastation. The white memorial above the sunken ship stands like a bridge between past and present, between loss and remembrance. Visitors fall silent here, watching the ripples spread outward as if time itself were bowing its head. This is where our journey ends. From the cliffs of Na Pali to the calm waters of Waikiki, Hawaii has shown us that paradise isn't still, it's alive. Every island breathes, shifts, and transforms, shaped by forces both seen and unseen. Here, mountains rise and crumble, beaches vanish and return, And yet, beauty never truly fades, it only changes form. The islands may be sinking, millimeter by millimeter, but their spirit endures in every wave, every breeze, every sunrise above the sea. Because Hawaii was never just a place, it's a living reminder that even in impermanence there's wonder. And if you ever stand on its shores, listening to the ocean's slow, endless rhythm, you'll feel it too. The heartbeat of paradise, still strong beneath the waves.